Some rare 80s funk and some 70s harp-driven soul jazz. Let's see what the records of the month are for May of 2024 from Vinyl Me Please. So this month from Vinyl Me Please, I got my normal classics track, and then I added on the essentials track because both of these were pretty awesome. One of them is extremely rare, and the other one, I don't have any of this artist yet, so I was excited to get this as my first record from her. So we'll find out more about that in a minute. And in my opinion, this month is exactly what Vinyl Me Please is kind of all about. I've not heard either of these records before, so they're new to me, but I do know one of them is actually pretty rare and hard to find. I started looking it up on Discogs after I even started hearing about it from Vinyl Me Please when they said that they were going to be releasing it, and it's in the hundreds and hundreds of dollars to try to find it if you could find a good one, and they really knocked it out of the park with this one, so we'll get to that in a little bit. Plus, the other one here is a really awesome one that's just a great gem to have, and it's probably a perfect one to have for the essentials track of the month, as we're going to see. Also, if you're in the camp of people that likes to complain that these are just also reissues, know this: Vinyl Me Please just actually announced Orchestra Ococan, who I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. I'm apologize if that's not how you pronounce it. This is a brand new Latin orchestra straight from Cuba that Daptone released a couple years ago that Vinyl Me Please did an exclusive with, and now this is the second exclusive that they're putting out. So this is going to be a brand new record coming out in July from an indie label, Daptone Records, and I believe that they're only pressing 300 copies of this one from Vinyl Me Please on this awesome baby blue vinyl. So if you're interested in that and you want to get it at a discount price, use the code below. You'll get $80 off for up to a year subscription. There's also other discounts there too if you want to just sign up for 3 months or 6 months, but you'll also be able to get a discount on that record and support new indie artists and really, actually put your money where your mouth is when people talk about, Vinyl Me Please needs to support other things other than repressings. Well, they got 300 copies coming out of a brand new artist in July. Go support that and let's get it sold out right away. Use the codes below. Also, if you want to preview the orchestra, I believe it's Orchestra Ococan. I'm so bad about pronouncing it. Orchestra Ococan. If you want to check them out, I'm leaving a link in the description below from a brand new video that Daptone just released for a single that's on the record as well. On Daptone's site, you can also get an exclusive bundle with a 45 release and all those other things. You can also get a t-shirt, which is really cool too. So definitely go support that artist, and it's really awesome that Vinyl Me Please is supporting that artist. Let's get right to the records of the month this month. I threw them right on the turntable as soon as I got them, and the first one here blew me away. This is Don Blackman, self-titled, originally released in 1982. Here is the Obi strip, and the Obi strip lists that it is AAA lacquer from tapes from Ryan Smith at Sterling Sound, and it doesn't say master tapes like the one that we have later or like other ones that I've seen, so that leads me to believe that maybe these weren't actually the master tapes, that maybe they were tape copies or something like that. But either way, I can say that this sounds fantastic. The jacket here is a very high quality gatefold jacket, very much in line with like a Tone Poet or an Acoustic Sounds Verve series. So again, high quality on this. I can't speak to the original, but this photo looks awesome to me, and the colors on this look great, and everything about this just looks really good. It's like a tip-on jacket. I can't imagine that you're going to get a jacket in this condition if you find one of these out in the wild. And like I said, if you find one of these out in the wild, they're also going to be very, very expensive. There's an included liner notes booklet from Ben Greenman, which includes a lot of context in regards to Don Blackman performing with P-Funk and all of the kind of offshoots from P-Funk that he was a part of and the whole scene there. It was actually kind of cool to read some of this and get a little bit of the background on that, because I'm not too familiar with this era or with some of these offshoot bands like the groups that Bootsy Collins had or things like that. I mean, I know of Bootsy's Rubber Band and I know of some of Maceo Parker's groups and stuff like that, but I would definitely love to get into more of these groups, and that's why I'm really glad this one, being just Don Blackman, who's an awesome keyboardist in this situation, just, nails it here, which is really, really sick. There are some represses of this out there from the 90s, and then I think there's also another repress from 2017, but again, both of them are also very expensive to get and very hard to get. I think the only ones I was able to find were definitely north of $100 each, and I think a couple of them were even way more more expensive than that. And I don't think the OG was even on Discogs as available. And I think the last time it was sold, it was for like $400 or something like that. So this is definitely a very rare record to get. And it's very awesome that it's going to be a record of the month now, which means it's going to get repressed from Vinyl Me Please. So if you want to get one, you should definitely sign up for the service, or you should definitely just, go pick one up from Vinyl Me Please. You don't have to be signed up from Vinyl Me Please to go order one of these. This sounds fantastic. Like I said, it says cut from tapes, not necessarily from master tapes, but it's AAA lacquer, and it's from Ryan Smith, and he definitely knows what he's doing in regards to mastering. And this is 80s production at its height. And as I was listening to this, I was blown away by the bassist and by the drummer. The bass on this, if you're into any kind of awesome funk slap bass from the 80s, you're going to absolutely love this record. And the synth stuff on this is very like clavinet and organ driven, but with kind of like a fuzz to it, which has like this kind of like synthy fuzz to it. Think a lot of the 80s version of Parliament and P-Funk All-Stars, and that's what you're getting with this, and it's really, really good. As I was saying, the bassist and the drummer blew me away on this specifically. There are some moments on this where the drum fills just really kick ass. And I was like, who is the drummer on this? And then I go and I look it up, and it's Dennis Chambers, of course. Dennis Chambers is one of the sickest drummers ever. If you're not familiar with him, I mean, he was like all over Modern Drummer magazine back in the 90s when I was like heavily drumming as a kid and stuff like that. And so I'm very familiar with Dennis Chambers, but I've never actually got to hear some of the actual records that he recorded on that, got him to the fame that he was on. And it's really sick because in the liner notes of this record, he's actually listed as the best drummer that Don Blackman even knows. And so that's just a sick assessment, including all the drummers that Don Blackman's probably ever played with in his life. So this is a really cool record for the drums and the bass specifically. But if you like any type of like slick 80s production or like slick 80s funk stuff with like that fuzzy kind of P-Funk sound, you're really going to like this. And it's cool because I haven't really been into a lot of that stuff as I was growing up, or even as I started getting into vinyl. I'm more into like 60s raw soul stuff and things of that nature. So more 80s slick production and even Parliament and Funkadelic stuff I haven't really gotten that too heavy into. So this is a great pick from Vinyl Me Please. And they have two others that they put out as exclusives. One from Errol Stubbs, which was like a rare cassette that they put out like I think only 100 copies of, but you can get that from Tidal Wave Music from other places other than Vinyl Me Please. But it's also in the vein of this with like very awesome 80s production. There's another really slick 80s record that they put out from a Philadelphia artist from right around this time also. I think it was from 1984, Karen Jones. We talked about that in a previous video too, but I'll probably end up talking about that again in the future and talk about all three of these. They definitely knew what they were doing with the production of this. It definitely bumps on your stereo. The bass and the drums are real crisp, and this entire production is really good. So Vinyl Me Please knocked it out of the park with this one. If you're interested at all in P-Funk, or if you like some funk music or funk music from the 80s, go check out Don Blackman. Really sick record. You don't have to sign up for Vinyl Me Please in order to get records from them, but you do get some perks, like you get some announcements sooner, and you also get some cheaper prices. But it is kind of expensive to sign up for Vinyl Me Please. You know what's not expensive to sign up for? Subscribing to this channel. It's totally free, so you could subscribe to this channel today, learn more about Vinyl Me Please, and then one day maybe sign up for it using the codes below. Now let's talk about the Essentials track for May of 2024. It's another exciting one here because, again, I don't have any of Alice Coltrane. I should definitely have more of her, especially after hearing this. This record is really good. This is Alice Coltrane's Eternity. This originally came out in 1976. Here is the Essentials Obi, and it lists here that this is AAA lacquer cut from the original master tapes. So it actually specifies master tapes on this one rather than just tapes. The jacket here is very premium. It's a nice tip-on jacket with a matte finish with like gold embossing on the Eternity letters. What I also really like here that Vinyl Me Please has been doing lately is on the insides of the jacket, the actual inside cardboard, they're making that a different color too to kind of match either, like in this case, it matches the Eternity color. And I know that that's something small, but like when people are killing them about quality and things like that, that's something that only I see them going to lengths on for doing. Like some of them have like purple on the inside. There's a purple on the inside for the Black Sabbath one. There's I think red on the inside for the Stevie Ray Vaughan. So like there's all these different ones that have this in here. And I know that a lot of people are going to be like, oh, well, who cares? It's just a silly jacket. You know, no one hears the jacket. But when you're talking about quality, I don't know what other kind of quality that you would want to have. I mean, this is a pretty cool premium jacket. I think it's awesome. It's pressed here on this 180 gram orange and pink swirlish vinyl with the original Warner Brothers logo. This one has an exclusive art print by Alan Hines, which is like a full-on like poster, and it is a very cool poster of her playing the harp, which is very awesome. As I mentioned, I have not heard a lot of Alice Coltrane stuff, so this one was really awesome to get into, and it really kind of struck me the same way that I heard Dorothy Ashby's Afro harping, specifically because she's not on a lot of harp on this, and she's on a lot more organ and electric piano, and man, it is just awesome. She really can play the organ very well, and the electric piano on this is almost like a synth. There's a lot of distorted Fender Rhodes going on here, and just really cool. It's almost like a clavinet sound at times, but it's got this really awesome like driving timbre to it throughout the music, especially on the 11-minute track on side one. And man, it is really cool. Another interesting thing here is Carlos Santana is on percussion for a couple of the tracks here. And apparently Carlos Santana's manager was taking opium with Carlos Santana and a couple other people, and they heard Alice Coltrane, and he immediately wanted to sign her to Warner Brothers Records. And what's also interesting is right around this time in like the mid 70s, like 75, 76-ish, Warner Brothers was signing a lot of jazz fusion-y type artists. They brought in Pat Martino, and they also brought in David Sanborn, who unfortunately just passed away recently. So rest in peace, David Sanborn. But David Sanborn, Alice Coltrane, and Pat Martino were all brought in to kind of push a lot of the fusion jazz stuff for Warner Brothers, which I just think is really cool. That's just something that it isn't even a thing today. No label out there today, unless it's like a specific indie label that's pushing fusion records, is pushing any kind of fusion jazz artists. And I just think it's cool that in the 70s, they were willing enough, this is a new thing. And I think that this record is a little bit ahead of its time. I think a lot of those artists, Pat Martino in particular, were ahead of their time in this time period. This is definitely my kind of groove of kind of like soul jazzy kind of stuff. It doesn't get too far out there, but it definitely has a lot of grooves to it and a lot of rhythm percussion. And I just really, like I said, I really like the organ stuff that she plays on it. And when she does get on the harp, it definitely sounds awesome. The whole entire first track on the second side is all just basically her organ and then vocals. So there's barely any percussion at all. It lists Carlos Santana as on timbales, but I think it's only on like the very end of the track. But it's really quiet on this record. It sounds very silent. The pressing of this record is very well done. I mean, everything sounds very good. And I was just listening to the Jazz Bums the other night. They were just talking about how spiritual jazz or space jazz and things like that really does lend itself well to audiophile type records, because there's a lot of nuance, different timbres, different silent moments and stuff like that. So this record is a great one for that, for like an audiophile sound. I really think they knocked it out of the park with this pressing. And what's really great is the last track on this is The Rite of Spring, and they do a really, really great arrangement of it. And Hubert Laws is the flautist who's on a few of these tracks, and he's actually on that track as well. And Hubert Laws is on CTI Records and has his own Rite of Spring record from CTI Records, so you should definitely check that one out too if you ever get a chance. Or maybe Vinyl Me Please could re-release that one in a future record of the month or something like that. I have no idea. That'd be awesome if they did. But this is definitely a great one to have. I see why Vinyl Me Please would have put this as an essential to have in your collection, especially if they don't have many other Alice Coltrane records. I mean, you should have some Alice Coltrane in your collection. And so now I'm very glad that I do. And so if you get a chance, definitely check out Eternity from Alice Coltrane. point. I'm not really sure what people were talking about in regards to the quality dropping at Vinyl Me Please. Like I mentioned with the inside cover jacket of that thing, and even the pressings of both of these records, one of them lists itself as only from tapes and the other says master tapes, so they're being very upfront with you about that. But both of them were a AAA lacquer process, both cut by Ryan Smith, and they both sound fantastic. And all of the extras that you're getting with all these things and everything like that, I'm not sure what people are talking about in terms of quality. If you're getting records from them and they're warped, or if you have a problem with the jacket because something's punched in or something like that, call them up and talk to their great customer service team. I'm sure they'll be glad to help you out and get you a new record sent in. I have been doing this particular series of records for each month as kind of a way to track my own quality control from these guys, because for a long time I was getting some records that were warped or had some issues and had to go back and get new ones. Since I've been doing this, I've mentioned every time where I've had an issue, and it's been few and far between on a lot of the records that I got. I mean, we were 5 for 5 on my records with my Nina Simone stuff from the other month. Both of these ones were perfectly fine. I did have an issue with the Black Sabbath in January, and I got that one replaced almost immediately, and the second one that came in was totally fine. So again, you know, I'm not really sure what we're talking about here in terms of low quality. If you're having issues with some of the things, like I said, definitely contact customer service and they will try to help you out. Also, I'm not really sure in terms of people talking about the selections for artists. I mean, if you already have most of your Alice Coltrane stuff, and then great. And if you already had that rare Don Blackman, then again, you're awesome and you already have those things. I don't. So it was really cool that they pulled those out, and I'm always up for maybe swapping into a hip hop or a country record if some of those things, you know, strike my fancy on a certain month. Next month, I think I'm only going to probably be getting one record of the month, because I think I'm only liking the Essentials record of the month, but we'll see what else that they have going on there. Like I said, definitely check out that Orchestra Ococan. That is a fantastic Cuban Latin orchestra that you definitely need to check out from Daptone Records, and they have that limited pressing that you can get, and you can get it on a discount if you use the codes below. If you enjoyed this video, you're probably going to like some others on the channel, especially these ones about Vinyl Me Please records of the month, or check out this one where I talk with Nadine at Soul Disco on a live stream all about Vinyl Me Please stuff. I'm going to go listen to Don Blackman and chill. I will see you on the next one.